Hey, it's me.
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? We are live. You can't see anyone yet, but we're about to. Brindley's here as usual. Let me turn the music down. Reveal the cast for tonight. Hey, calm down.
What?
Because it's called the Parenting Podcast, not the Brindley Podcast. Jeez. Okay. So what's up, everybody? I'm gonna unmute everybody. We're going live. Got some fun topics to talk tonight about. And yeah, so hopefully you guys are ready. Got everyone unmuted. And oh my gosh, this is not your show. This is I'm doing this show so I don't have to be around. I love you. Don't get me wrong, I love you.
But I want to do this with you.
I know. I love that you want to do streaming with me, but we're gonna talk about stuff that will make you cry later on.
Yes, grown-up stuff.
I'm just kidding.
Don't talk about that.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Never talk about that.
Welcome to the second episode of the Parenting Podcast. If you guys are in chat, thank you so much. Thank you, Beardley, Andrew for hosting, and Giovanni's supposed to be joining us shortly here. I think she's still streaming. She might need me to message her real quick.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. They're hosting the stream and messing with the lights. That was making her mad earlier. She was like,
changing the light.
if you haven't been able to tell, Brittany has quite the personality.
I'm gonna change the light.
No, don't change the lights. It'll mess it up. So yeah, there we go. Okay, I couldn't see the bottom part there. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I'll have my guests introduce themselves and how this is. Oh, dang it, freaking, I'm unprofessional. Whatever. How this parenting podcasting. You change the lights. Thank you. And it kind of matches everyone else. Oh, that's bad. Don't do that one. I'm so angry. Stop this.
Is that your living room light?
No, it's the Hue Light kit.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
they're synced with the stream, and you can actually change the lights in the stream as well. So like if you're in the chat, you can actually type exclamation point Hue.
It's me.
And yeah, so yeah. So
That's pretty cool.
it's kind of cool. It's another different way to be like interactive with stuff.
It's like, dude.
Oh my gosh. If you don't have kids, this will make you not want to have kids, and if you do want kids, we'll explain how to deal with them when this happens. So usually she's not on the stream when we do this, but yeah. So all right, I'm gonna end up on stream fails because I'm gonna beat the crud out of her. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that, but
Jesus.
I'm kidding. It's not to us when it's your own kid, right? No, is it that? I'm just kidding. Hey, I need you to calm down for a second, please. Please.
You're just excited, man.
Just for a second. Just for a second.
I'm excited too. So
All right.
I'm just not that
Yeah, that
hyper.
room's a
I'm,
party.
I know. I'm
It's me.
gonna mute myself real quick, and I'll have you guys introduce yourself. We'll start with Rebel. Go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Alright. Well, hi. I'm Rebel. I live stream on YouTube and just started streaming on Twitch not too long ago. I am a mom of a wonderful 5-year-old boy, and I'm so happy that I was invited here on Fall of Ferris's stream because it's nice to meet other people who I have, just common interests with, and meeting other parents on the platform. It's nice. It doesn't make me feel like the struggle. It's just like me because it's hard streaming being a parent sometimes. So I'm happy that I'm here chatting with you guys. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Go ahead and Anna, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anne. You guys can call me Atalanti. So I've been streaming off and on for the last 3 years, started with gaming. Now I just do IRL. I do have a 1-year-old little girl, Baby Lanty is what everyone knows her as on my stream. She has been on my stream before. We like to do some outdoor stuff together, but fortunately I'm just by myself tonight. So she's gone to bed, but I'm very thankful to have been invited here on the podcast and to talk to you guys all about streaming and parenting and everything that entails.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Andrew, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Andrew, or Beardly Andrew. I started streaming sometime last year. It's been almost a year now, and I got a huge bump from a YouTube video, so that's why I think I'm here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm the father of a 1-year-old, the bearded baby, as chat knows her, or Iris. She'll probably be out here, but she's taking a tubby right now, getting ready for bed. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Giovanni, are you there or no? Let me see. I think she's... Hold on. I think you need to join the Discord, and that would help. So give me a second, guys.
You got to drag her in.
All right. Literally was dealing with the meltdown child. You could probably see the meltdown going in the background, which I was like, this is fun. Hold on. Getting her. There you go. All right, there you go. Giovanni, you there?
Yes, hello.
All right, there you go.
Hi.
I was like, I don't see where you are.
Hey, it's me.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Me?
Yeah.
My name is Giovanni, and I am a parent. I have an offspring. One and done. I stream Rocket League mainly right now, and yeah, have a 8-year-old. Yep, he's 8.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I missed everyone else's introduction. Sorry.
No, that's good. They weren't important. No, I'm just kidding.
Are we still waiting on people, or is this everybody?
I think this is gonna be everyone tonight. I think my buddy
Okay.
Keystone Smooth. He doesn't stream, but he usually joins in on me, and we've done like the podcast stuff before. And I go mainly the thing that I think is gonna be interesting with the parenting podcast is I'm learning that there's more and more parents that stream, and so I wanted to kind of help create like a show for them. But also not only that, like even if you're not a parent, even if you're a kid, I think being able to ask another parent, like how would you phrase something if you're going through something, or if you had a difficult question you didn't want to talk to your parents, we'll be your parents for you, and we'll scold you and tell you what's right or wrong.
Right.
I literally have a mom emote. Like, so I see a couple of my community members in chat. There it is. Thank you, Excellent.
Aww.
Nice.
So yeah, I feel like that's a thing that people like to call female streamers mom, whether they're parents or not, because we end up being their parents, right?
Well, I mean, it's a thing for
sure.
male streamers too. It's like every time, oh, hey, dad. Every time somebody comes into my chat that's
Right.
been a regular, it's like, hey, Dad. It's like, okay, hey.
My dad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've jumped onto some of like the parenting podcasts, or not parenting podcast, but jumped onto other podcasts, and I kind of said like, I'm just the dad here. I'm just here to make sure you degenerates are not acting out of control. But like, I love the podcast format of stuff, especially Twitch. I used to stream mobile games, and life happened, had kids, and this format would have been able to kind of keep my Twitch career kind of going. Instead, I had to take 2 years off, and so this is kind of like the revamp or the resurgence for the content I want to make. But as you're older, you kind of want to make content that has some sort of impact with somebody, because I know Andrew definitely has some stuff that I want to work with him on, some stuff like that around like mental health and stuff like that. And I think everyone is on board with having some sort of mental health balance and life balance with this and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think too is that like content creators, or even just like Twitch streaming or gaming, is so getting mainstream now, where people know about it. Like either people are involved with YouTube creators or anything like that. It's learning that balance, and that was a difficult thing for me, was doing the balance side of it before, and so almost ruined a relationship or my marriage, stuff like that. And so
Dang.
and so I don't know if we won't cover any of that stuff, marriage type stuff tonight, but most of the stuff that we want to talk and cover about today will be more geared around stuff with parenting. So we kind of got an idea of who's parents, and I have 2 kids, 2 girls, one's 4 and 2. So everyone, thank you so much for joining and hanging out with us tonight. All right, so we'll eventually get to some like chat questions as well too. So if you guys are there, feel free to put them in there. We'll try and find them, and then let's see. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know if you can hear my baby crying in the background, but it's fitting for.
You're fine.
Call for help is all.
Yeah. I'm pulling up the questions that we had here. So one of the first ones I wanted to kind of cover, which I think is kind of fun, is like the pet peeves with parenting. Do you guys have any like pet peeves with parenting? Like whether it's people giving advice or certain things like anti-vaccine or anything. So I know this can kind of open up. This can open up a huge thing. Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go
Just
first.
say
Why
you
not?
definitely like hit it on the head. You hit it on the head when you said unsolicited parenting advice. That comes from like every direction. It comes from not just friends and family, but even strangers. You'll be in the grocery store and people will like subtly say, "Oh, this is what I fed my child," as they watch me like put something into my cart that they obviously didn't approve of. You know, something like that. It's like, do I know you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they probably think they're doing something really nice, because to them it's like, I'm telling you this because I actually think it's better for your child. But all the same, you're gonna hear like every piece of advice and the exact opposite. So at the end of the day, I just do what I want because I figure out what
think
works
all that
for
is
me.
just
But
like part of experience too. Like people who are like really like just super aggressive into like one thing about parenting. Like you got to feed your kids organic stuff, because like my child went through this, like anti-vaxxers. Like I had an experience with my son, and he had like this terrible what do you call it, reaction to like this vaccine, and you shouldn't do it. You know, I mean, there's always a reason why people are like that, but then again, it's like if they're a stranger and they're just like, hey, it's just like, I don't know you, but I mean, it's just like, I'm a very open-minded person, so I'll listen to someone if they have a good reason. But if they're just super close-minded, they don't know what they're talking about, then I'm just like, back up. Like I'm good. Yeah.
And it's always the grocery store. Like, I live in Florida, and I brought my son to the grocery store for the first time. Like, okay, you know, we're moving up in the world. We're trying this. And then he had on sandals, like just like strappy sandals. And I remember this old lady coming up to him and was like, "Oh, he's just freezing. That baby's gonna freeze to death with those sandals." And I'm like, it's Florida. He's born in September. It's literally like 105 degrees outside. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're
That-
in the refrigerated section, so.
Might
that's-
have been. That
that's
might have
one
been
thing
her
that-
excuse.
That's one thing that really gets me. Is like, oh, she's so cold. It's like, dude, how do you know? Like,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
is my
yeah.
daughter.
She's
you know?
sweating. She's
Exactly.
not cold.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had people tell me like, well, I had my daughter all bundled up and she was pretty warm and she felt pretty warm on the face. So I took her little hat off. This was when she was, 2-3 months old. And someone comes by and is like, oh, no, you have to keep those hats on all the time. They get cold. I'm like, okay.
My daughter sweats so much at night. Like, we have to change sheets at least twice a week just because there's so much sweat. And when people tell, oh, she's so like my grandmother, grandmas, they wanna help you and stuff. And
Always grandma.
it's like okay, I call my grandma Mama, so I'm like, Mama, you got to remember, like, yeah, this is my first child, but I'm the oldest of 7, and I pretty much raised all 6 other kids. So I kind of know what I'm doing, but. Let me mess up with her if I'm going to mess up something, but she's not cold. I can tell you that right now. She's not cold. Yeah, she's taking off her socks and stuff because she's so hot.
Yeah. We had the issue with Brinley being so small, like, because she was a preemie of 2 months, but we got to take her home at like 3 pounds 6 ounces. So when we were taking her out, everyone just like giving us dirty looks like we were taking such a newborn out. It was like, why are you taking a newborn out? I was like, no, she's like almost 3 months old. I know
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
I was like, she might be a midget baby, but I'm just okay. It's not right to say midget baby. I apologize.
Yeah. You don't know what's happening to her. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to join for a minute or no? Do you want to? Okay, this is my wife Holly. She's joining us for a little bit.
Hello.
So scoot over so they can see you.
You're taking a ton of space.
Well, because I'm fat. Okay, jeez.
That's my
She-
excuse.
She's only done I think one other stream with on stream. They can't. Do you want to be on or no?
Your chair.
I
is
can't
like
move
the
across
thing.
here.
I'm just
This is not
kidding.
this is not the counseling stream. We're not dealing with this right now. Sorry. Just sit on my lap. There. No.
Oh.
Just lean over.
I don't like you that much. That's really close.
Hey. It's messed up.
Was that another topic of parenting?
I guess. How do you deal with the love and support of another when you're trying to do something fun? No, I'm just kidding. Do you have any pet peeves of parenting stuff that happens?
Like you're kind of talking about when Brinley was little. Like, I'd have random strangers come and just like try and pick her up, like ask to hold her and like try and take her. And I had one lady like
Oh,
grab
yeah.
her
The
from me, and I'm like,
heck?
"This isn't your baby. Like, you can't touch other people's babies." And then, like trying to tell
I
me
mean,
that my kids
what if
needed
they like
socks.
grab the feet? The feet is okay.
Yeah, no, like she picked her
Yeah.
up out of my hands. Like I had to like tell her that's not okay.
Yeah.
And then socks. Like I would be wearing her, and people would always be like, "Why is she not wearing socks? Babies need socks." I'm like, her feet are sweaty and gross. Like I don't want
Yeah.
socks. Why would she want socks? So
Yeah.
I think just
That's where I'm coming from right
unsolicited
now.
Oh my
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like some of the things there. I think also the other thing that bugged me too were like when oh sorry, something playing in the background. Sorry. No, okay. Sorry. Thing that got me was like using medicine or something like that. And so I know some parents are like very not wanting to like, use Tylenol or medicine to, like to help with a kid. I'm like if it's gonna help them and it's not gonna do any like one dose of Tylenol isn't gonna kill the kid. And so it was just like I don't know. I'm gonna put her on blast. I shouldn't put her on blast.
Let
Huh?
me see names.
But even if I said someone who's related to me who. This is my sister, whatever. I don't care. She doesn't watch the show. It's just the
Hi,
tone.
sister.
I think it's just the tone of like when they're like, oh well, we don't do that because it's like we don't believe in that. I'm like, okay, well that's how it's coming off. Like you're saying it. I know you don't mean well, but like, I think the judgmental part of like how you parent.
Condescending a little bit and like like I'm more superior than you because I'm all clean, with no
Yeah, we're vegan.
I need the Tylenol.
Yeah.
I need that.
I'm going through teething right now, and I need Tylenol like
Oh,
every
God,
minute of every day.
Oh.
she's just a monster when she's upset. And yesterday she wasn't feeling well, so it's like, all right, just here you go. And she loves taking the Tylenol too. So
Yeah,
which is a
Tylenol,
good
like
thing.
kid Tylenol is like super sweet. Like I miss, like why can't adult Tylenol be like that good? You know?
Yeah, I just got her the bubblegum one, so she
Oh
loves
really?
I think that's how they.
I'll have to try that one because I gave baby Lanty the cherry flavor one time and she just gagged it up. She hated it so much. And she's not a picky eater. She'll eat pretty much anything except potatoes and cherry Tylenol. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try
You got
the
lucky.
Yeah, I guess that can lead up to one other thing. You put them like for diets and like sugar intake and stuff like that. What do you guys do? Like, are you like? Oh my gosh, she's like screaming. Can you guys hear in the background? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
We just have her in a cage. It's fine. Nothing.
She's in her crib.
Oh.
She doesn't have a crib anymore
Wasn't a
because she
tea
crawled
kettle.
out of it. Diets and sugar stuff. Like we had one daycare person when Brindley was 2. I think was giving her like apple juice for everything. So she would just come home and be like apple juice, apple juice, apple juice, apple juice. And so, do you guys like water juice down and stuff like that, or do you guys use this?
Yeah.
I used to. Yeah. Now that he's like about to be 6, I'm just like, well, it's fine, you know. But when he was younger, like 3, 4, maybe 4, but definitely when he was like a toddler, like younger, I would always like dilute it with water for sure. Because like it would give him diarrhea. Like that was the thing. I just didn't want him to like have stomach issues and messy diapers. Yeah. That was just my problem.
I use Coors Light, so that's already watered down, so she's good.
The Coors Light Benadryl combo, and you're good.
No, I mean she mainly drinks water, so I don't have to worry about a lot of sugary stuff that she drinks. But like her grandfather is constantly giving her snacks that she shouldn't be eating.
Oh, I hate that. Dude, my dad does the same thing. Like when he's watching my son, like I'll come back to pick him up and he has like crap all over his face. And I'm like, what did he have? And he was like, oh, we went to 7-Eleven, got him a ice cream sandwich and a slushy. I'm like, oh my God. So like, I'm totally strict with sugar because of the fact like he's spoiled with his grandparents.
Yeah. Last night she was having Cheetos for the first time in a while, and then French fries. Like I'll admit, once in a while I'll give her a French fry, but like no salt. It's just a potato, and I'm not giving her McDonald's French fries. It's from like a restaurant or something. But yesterday I gave her ketchup for the first time. She was like. Mind blown, It's like, what is this? I need more of this in my life.
Yes. I have like the opposite, the complete opposite experience with the grandparents. So for my in-laws, they had a grandchild before my daughter was born, and he has a very strict diet in his house. So it's like all the healthiest organic, all the everything. I'm honestly, I give her real food, like good food, but I'm not shopping, the high-end markets for the craziest, like healthiest, like health nut food. And so whenever I go there, she's like, oh, and I bought this, and I bought this, and this is healthy, and I made this by myself, and like all of these, like she's trying to prove to me that the food that she's about to give my child is worthy. And I'm like, yeah, anything works. You really don't have to like go over.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And then I feel bad. I'm like, should I be doing this for her? Too much work for me.
Yeah,
no, that's a lot of work. I'd be like, thank you.
We're pretty.
It's a lot of work.
We're pretty lax for the most part, but we're kind of lucky that they're not picky. So they actually crave the healthy food, and it's like when they're with dad, they're
Yes, you are definitely the one that lets them eat whatever they want. And now Michaela, like almost 2, we drive by like a store, and if she sees like anything yellow of a sign, she's like, French fry, French fry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it doesn't even matter.
It's like the DMV, and it's like yellow, and she's like, French fries. Like, no, I'll leave you there if you want, but you're not gonna want French. No, it's not French fries. It's not French fries.
Yeah, as much she doesn't eat a lot of junk food, but as much as she does, like she'll eat everything else. The other day, my wife took her to Sprouts to shop, and she's basically eating like a bell pepper raw. And everybody in the market is just like, she's eating a bell pepper? Like, how old is she?
Right.
And she loves, like, cauliflower is her favorite, broccoli's her favorite, all the veggies
yeah.
she loves. But, like, so once in a while, I'm like, okay, you can have a Cheeto. You can have, like, a scoop, not even a scoop, like a spoon of ice cream or something, but...
Yeah.
But as long as like the healthier stuff outweighs the crap, I think, then we're okay.
For sure, like that balance of like eating more healthier and then like just some treats, but like it's like it's kind of like at this even level.
Yeah.
Because
You want to give them the healthy food, but also let them be a kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to like experience snacks and like getting those like memories, like, oh yeah, like when they're older, like, oh yeah, I grew up with that and that's good. But like he's 5, come on, like he doesn't need all that sugar. He has like years of experience.
Yeah, she hasn't had candy yet, so that's a good thing. Not a lot of sugar.
Have any of you noticed like an energy spike when you give your kids sugar, or is that a myth?
Yes. No, it's there.
It's real?
Oh my god, yeah,
Okay.
it's real.
Is the excitement of sugar that does it, or is it like, is it a chemical thing?
I think it's just like a sugar rush, like something about sugar, like especially with kids. And I don't know if it's just my son, but like whenever he has something sweet, like a dessert, like, after dinner, he'll just run around and he's really loud. And I'm just like, oh, here we go, And then, of course, when it's bedtime, like he starts to simmer down and easier to get into bed. But yeah, like I've seen it with my own eyes. It's not fun.
I give her straight G Fuel, make her snort it. No, I'm just kidding.
I posted something like that in my Discord because I just got my G Fuel today. I'm trying it for the first time, and I'm trying the grape. And I posted a picture of my G Fuel bottle and then a bottle of hers, and they're both purple. I'm like, oh, me and the baby are trying G Fuel today, and X like got on. He's like, I don't think you should be giving your baby G Fuel. I'm like, dude, it's watered down. Don't worry.
It's diluted. It's all right.
I'm like, did you read it all? He's like, no. I'm like, dude, it was really, it's purple Pedialyte because she was a little sick yesterday, so it's diluted Pedialyte. He's like, oh, but
yeah.
This one said she wasn't tired, and apparently she was wrong. She's passed out. Yeah. So with diets and stuff like that, it's definitely like with the first kid. I think we were all gung ho trying to like blend foods. We didn't really do like a lot of baby foods. We kind of went from
we did baby led weaning.
Yeah.
So they eat whatever we're eating.
Guys, my wife's here.
Nice.
You want to say hi?
Wifey.
Hi.
Hi.
So we're talking about like junk food and stuff, and I was telling him how it's mainly your dad that gives her a bunch of junk food, like a Cheeto and stuff. And I also told him, she does eat healthy, like a whole raw bell pepper.
She is a veggie monster.
Nice.
Every time we take her to Sprouts or the supermarkets, we stop by the produce section and
It's
we
me.
clean whatever we give her, and she eats the whole thing. It's a bell pepper or a nectarine.
That's good. That's really good.
She just loves it.
Oh,
Nice.
I wish my son was like that.
All right.
So
So
I'll turn it up a little
we
bit.
can cover this one's probably going to cover a little bit, and I think it'll cover into some of the other stuff. I don't know if we want to jump into it right away. But I guess with like kids and religion, I guess so. What do you guys teach your kids? Do you guys want to raise them by the beliefs that you instill in them, or do you think it's harmful? So there's a lot of questions that was kind of like our meat and potatoes one there. It's kind of like a hot topic too, because politically it's also politically driven with a lot of stuff, but we don't have to cover that side of it for sure. But I guess the belief wise, I'll start out with it. So I used to be like a worship leader and did a bunch of stuff with that with like a Christian church. It was like a Baptist church. So like my beliefs lie in like Christianity and stuff like that. And then we go to church on, like, I work Sundays, and then when I'm off I usually go, or I catch like a sermon here and there. But then I'll even talk about some of the stuff on my stream. Like we talked about a lot last night, which was surprising. But Brindley loves doing church. We have like this app. I could share that app in our Discord if you guys join the Discord. Put exclamation point Discord if you have parenting questions as well. We'd love to have them there, or if you guys want to see us talk about stuff, we can do that there too. Sorry for the shameless plug, but yeah. So are you guys religious or not, or does that kind of affect your parenting, or?
No comment.
No problem. That's fine. I mean, but like as far as like the because then it leads to what we're gonna also talk about too, is like the holidays, like religious holidays and stuff like that. So do you guys still do that and stuff like that?
Church anymore. It's been years since I've been, like, I grew up as a Baptist Christian, and I used to go all the time when I was a kid. I was raised like that. My parents are super strict with that stuff, but I just I mean, I'm very open-minded. Like, was a Jehovah's Witness, and all of my friends, you know, they're different religions. My aunt is a Buddhist, so it's like I come from like a very diverse religious family, I guess, but like my primary family is like Christian. My son, when he was born, I kind of wanted him to like gain the morals, and like I felt like I learned a lot of like respect, and I just learned a lot of church. It's just personally, I haven't been to church in a long time because of streaming and personal reasons. But
that's fine.
But no, yeah, no, my son actually goes to church every Sunday with his grandpa because he's like, you know, super religious, which is totally fine by me. And I don't see anything wrong with it at all. I think it's a really fun place. They're really good with like the youth group. They're really fun. They're accepting. They're pretty open-minded with everybody, very welcoming. And yeah, I think that's a very sensitive like subject to talk about, but I'm not gonna lie, I want to raise my son to be very open-minded, very accepting to everybody else, not judgmental. I just don't want him to be super, you know what I mean?
This is now the United States.
Just that's like my worst fear. I would feel like I would fail as a parent if my son grew up to be like racist or like not accepting of others, you know. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's not super strict. Teach him morals, and of course there's Christmas and fun holidays. You know.
Sure.
But yeah, that's just me. It's just like tradition too. Just what I grew up with, what I know.
A lot of stuff that we like about it too. It's very social. Like there's that aspect of it, you know, because if you know, majority of the times it's fairly a safe atmosphere in most cases that I've noticed, at least with our place that we've been able to connect with. And I think it kind of extends beyond just like the religion side of it, because I think there's other great aspects of just finding community within that. And so, you know, there's not really like a lot of places, I don't know, that I can think of off the top of my head that would be like community based, you know, to reach out to and have support from, you know, other than like a church.
Yeah, it is a good community too. Yeah, like it you can make a lot of good friends there, a lot of, you know, family friends too. But yeah,
I think the biggest thing is too is that like raising the girls to just be loving of others. And I think that like we go to church, it's very much like it doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, like no matter what, you need to respect people and their decisions and what they're doing, and it's not that you're gonna judge someone for who they are. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that like most parents, I think in our generation at least, are starting to raise their kids that way, whether or not they have beliefs in something or they don't at all, that the whole thing is being not just tolerant but just loving to everyone. And I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, yes, we like believe in God and like that's how we're raising our kids, but that doesn't mean that like she's not going to have friends at school that don't have that, and that is going to be completely okay. And we want to make sure that like our kids know that every family is different, and that's okay too, and to love each other and to love your friends.
Yeah,
and
for
to love every
sure.
kid that's different. I think that's the biggest part of like of just I want to make sure that we don't fail in that, because I don't want my kid to sit here and to go to school and to be that bully because someone's different than them. So
Yeah,
I
and
gotta
I-
say.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I gotta say, I was gonna say that I think what really makes a kid grow into a good person is the parenting. Like, it's not just like where you take them to church.
Right.
It's all about the parenting and like what you teach them, because they're pretty much like a mirror of you. And of course, like who they like see at school, but it's like when they come home at the end of the day, and who do they see every day is like their parents or their grandparents. So it's like, I mean, when I say like I want my son to like, you know, like gain good morals from church, it's not that I don't teach that at home.
Mhm.
I mean, I do. It's just that it's like, it's good to be in that atmosphere, you know, that a lot of people do it. And it's something that a lot of people share, you know, when you go to church. And
I think it's
an
also like
environment.
the impact of like hearing it from someone
It's
else.
me.
Like, because a lot of times, like telling stuff to our kids
Mm.
once they get older, it's not going to be as powerful as if they hear it from their friend or someone else. And if we're kind of instilling that same thing, and I think the other thing with having girls in this day and age, with the people telling that men are toxic and stuff like that, which, but I think being able to have that. Oh my gosh, sorry, she's like going crazy now. She's saying daddy. She's trying to really get me going.
That's okay.
It's fine, I still love her. No, she needs to sleep. She was up till like 2 or something, or no, almost till like one last night. But yeah,
Jeez.
but I think like with having girls, and there's, I don't know, there's something different. Like, you want them to have at least some sort of moral compass. Now, I don't mean in like as far as it goes to everything else. And like to your point that you're saying is, we have to be active as parents today, which I think other people in maybe in my opinion, why we have so much stuff and so much trouble with youth and kids these days is probably because parents are being pulled many different directions, and most of the time it's not by choice either. So I'm not saying that it's like a lack of parents not wanting to be parents. I think there's so much stuff that we have as distractions where both parents have to work, so there's less time interactive with the parents actually interacting with the kids. We have to leave kids in daycare more often or whatnot. So I think having, for me, having that church background, I know that they're going to be around people that line up with how I kind of feel or feel, you know, comfortable with too. But at the same time, like instilling these are the messages here. And I think church gets a bad rap in some cases because it's the whole
Definitely.
whole like,
Yeah,
saying, like,
yeah.
you have to do this or I'll spank you type thing. And that's not
Yeah, like super old school punishment stuff. Yeah. No, for sure. You know, my sister was actually, she didn't know this, but she was actually part of a cult in California for 6 years. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know how it took her 6 years to figure this out. But I remember the church, and, you know, it's weird because, like, the people around her were so nice. And every time I would go visit her at her church, I live in Oklahoma, so, like, I would visit her in California. They were so nice to me and very nice to her. But how she found out they were a cult, they were, like, pretty much scamming college students to join their youth group and to give them a bunch of money. And so I don't know if it was really, I call it a cult, but they pretty much scammed my sister like thousands of dollars, you know, like her
Whoa.
friends, thousands of dollars to build more church. And they were trying to control her life. Like, they're pretty much trying to set her up to like lead like a new church and set her up like with this guy that she didn't like. And like one of the girls who used to like hang with her in the church, I like a guy with this type of hair and this type of style. And literally like the next week at church, he like had this new haircut the way she liked it. And like he was into my sister. My sister was like, nah, like what's going on? And yeah, she found out because she wanted to move and go to school for something. And they were like, no, you can't leave. You can't leave us. And she called me. She was like, I gotta get out of here. This place is crazy. And people like churches like that away from, because like that's just crazy in my opinion. It's like that's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
They were nice, but I think like the way they like ran it was really
So
Like my
sketchy.
sister
I bet.
Yeah, super
yeah,
sketch.
she changed her
Yeah.
number. Like her whole life was like pretty much like around this church, like her friends, her roommates, and she had to like get out of there like as soon as she figured out like they were trying to control her life and do all that stuff. I was like, come live out here in Oklahoma. But yeah, like, yeah, she's out of that. But yeah, like after that experience, like it kind of made me like worry a little bit about stuff like that. Like what kind of church should I go to in the future? Like for my son. Cause like she didn't know she was there for 6 years, you know, and I kind of saw the flags because they kept talking about money and you know all this stuff. And yeah, one thing that was weird, I remember they said it was like during Thanksgiving, and I went to like one of their I don't know, what do you call it, just Sunday group sessions, and they're like, I know Christmas is right around the corner and you love your family, but the church comes first, and I recommend you guys like pretty much donating as much as you can to the church and then your family. Yeah. And I was like, everybody was like, my sister, when she was still in, she was like, okay, I must do that. And I was looking at her like, I gotta get my son some good stuff and celebrate it with my family. I'm not gonna like, I've never heard a church say that in my life. Like, who says that? It's like, no, you gotta donate from like the gracious of your heart, and like, you know, and it's just that gratitude, not like
any quick encouragement for that, if you are looking for like a home church, at least be able to find some of their church morals or values like that do coincide with the Bible, and that's probably going to be a better bet. Now, not to the point where they're taking like Old Testament stuff, like where you're chopping people's hands off because if a woman pulls you away in the middle of a fight, probably a bad church to go to. It's in there, that's why I know. I'm just saying, don't quote me on that portion. But with the sense of like the tithing and the whole like 10% thing and the whole donating money, anything that's like tied to something worldly like that is kind of like a red flag. But
yeah, I know. I'm just happy she's out of it, and yeah, she's better off now.
Saving a lot of money.
Saving money now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But Rebel, you said you grew up Baptist and you haven't been like attending lately.
Yeah.
If you were to ever decide to go back, would it be Baptist, or would you like look around for another branch that might suit you better now that you're older, or what do you?
I would probably stick with Baptist. I mean, like after my like dating my ex, who was, you know, like I said, a Jehovah's Witness, I did a lot of like just research and different stuff, and you know, like when the time comes, like when I feel like I'm ready to put that commitment into my life, then I would definitely go with Baptist, because I think that's how I was raised and that's what I would believe in out of all the things that I've looked into. But you know, like right now personally, I'm just like, I'm not ready. I know that sounds so bad, but it's just like, I don't know, like I got to make sure that I'm ready for that type of commitments, and yeah, when it's going to be.
It's important,
Yeah.
because if a church is like a community, it's kind of like, the only analogy I can kind of give it to for Twitch people is like, you find a Twitch community, and if they're doing crazy stuff, you're obviously not going to stick around, because you're like, dude, this is nuts. I'm
Right.
not down with this. And like, I'm not saying church is like, well, Twitch is like a church, but sometimes it is because of how religious people are, and they are throwing money at it. I'm just saying. Hey, man, if you want to keep the
part of
stream
a church
alive-
is the community, and it
Yeah.
keeps you coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of what's wonderful about growing up community like that is you feel that kind of support. And, you know, I grew up Greek Orthodox, and I still am Greek Orthodox. It was one day, like my dad and I were in the choir, like it was very much a all the way in kind of thing. So I don't attend nearly as much as I used to, but it's still very much part of my life. And I mean, how many Orthodox people have you actually run into? I barely ran into anyone. I went to school, I'll tell you that. So
Yeah.
like I definitely felt like the odd person out, but knowing that I wasn't the only one when I did go to church, and it's like, oh, I'm not a weirdo. Look at all of these people. So it was, I don't, and actually Orthodoxy is still very widespread. I just didn't realize it, I guess, when I was growing up. So
You kind of like and like see beyond than just your city or like, you know, the people around you. It is like there are a lot of them out there, but especially growing up like at a certain school, I mean, like, yeah, you're definitely not going to find a lot with certain things. I don't, you know, that's just how it is sometimes. Depends on the community, you know, depends where you live. I remember growing up, and I grew up in Southern California, and a lot of my friends were Catholic. And so, like, there weren't a lot of Christians, like, where I grew up. But, I mean, like, you know, when I moved to Oklahoma, it's, like, smack in the middle of the Bible Belt. There's so many Christians. It's just, like, it just depends where you live, honestly. Yeah, like.
It's like, welcome to Oklahoma. Here's the Bible.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. I'm, like, the only Filipino here.
No, for me, like, me and my wife, when we were discussing this like earlier, you know, unfortunately she had a miscarriage with her first child. So, you know, that's when we first started talking about it. And then, you know, when she got pregnant again, the subject came up. And you know, I told her, basically, I got burned out of church. You know, like I was doing catechism. I was doing, you know, every Sunday, you know, retreats, and not so much retreats, but going to church on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I'm like, you know what? I felt like I was forced to go. You know, my grandmother paid money for me to go to catechism. You know, we donated to the church. We did stuff for the church. And, you know, don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against church or, you know, the word of God or Christ, whatever. But I'm like, when it comes to the point, like, you know, we'll teach her all the morals and stuff of church, you know, love thy neighbor, all that stuff, you know, basically be a good person. You know, but when it comes time for her to decide, I want her to decide. And I, you know, like going back to that whole, you know, men are toxic type thing. You know, I want to show her that, you know, women have a choice too. You know, we're just leading you down this path. You get to choose where you want to go. If you're a Scientologist, I'll still love you. You know, like kind of thing. And and like when speaking about religion, it always leads into like my not so much argument. Like I always tell my wife, okay, we're gonna let her choose her own religion if she wants. What about when she wants to join like the army or the Navy or something, you know? And my wife's like, hard no. It's like, okay, we'll let her believe in whatever God she wants, but she can't serve her country. You know, she can't further her education that way. It's like, why not? And, you know, like, I don't know. But, you know, every time we have dinner together, you know, we say grace together. When my father-in-law feeds the dogs and the cat, and she follows him around, you know, he says grace for them. It's like, thank you, Jesus, for my food, amen.
Oh. And
you know, so it's she's learning that now.
See, that's more religious than me. If we had a pet, I wouldn't be praying for its food.
Yeah, I mean, but,
that's,
you know,
so nice.
Dang you. Yeah, you know, we don't go to church.
Well, the church would be so much better if it wasn't for the people, though. At the same time,
Yeah.
in some areas. In some instances, I'm just saying. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, whenever we have dinner together, we're all holding hands in grace, and we hold her hand.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like I said, like the pet thing, you know, they even got me saying it. It's like the dogs will not eat unless they hear "Thank you, Jesus, for my food, amen."
That's crazy.
You know, it's weird. But...
My kids, can you teach my kids
that? To them, that is
like,
you may eat now.
Yeah.
We're trying to do prayer sometimes, and then like Michaela's just like, and then she'll put her hand out to hold one of the hands.
Oh no.
No, but you know, like I feel like that's the meta right now, to use a gaming term. It's like, you know, let your kids decide. You know, when I was younger, I'm 30 years old now. So when I was younger, you know, it's kind of forced on me. You know, we got to do this. You know, just because that older generation was forced to do it. You know,
Oh
now
yeah.
it's like,
Well, I think it's
You know.
different than forcing him, right?
So I want to
think-
put a pin in that and get back to it because I have a question about that.
Okay.
If we can.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
as far as like forcing it, real quick, I don't. I mean, she has to kind of do what we have to do at a certain point, but I mean, it's like if she's 18 or she's doing this, like, I think at a certain point, if she doesn't want to do it, I'll be like, that's gonna be like our fight for later after the stream. I'm sure is like, what do you mean you're gonna make her go to church? I'm like, I can't make her go. I go, that's just gonna force her to not like it anymore. But I think encouraging her to, you know, find her own relationship with it is what's different. But I think, dang it, I'm kind of losing my thought there. But yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is make my son feel uncomfortable with going to church, or, you know, I want to make sure that whatever he does, he's safe. He's not being stupid. He's a good boy, no matter what. Like, yeah, I mean, like, no matter what, he's gonna be my son. Even I thought about it, I'm like, is gay when he's older. That is fine because he's still, you know, he's still my son. He's my baby, and you know, it's just I'm gonna accept him for whoever he is, as long as he's not harming himself. Like that's just.
Yeah, that is cutting out a little bit, but that's what I was kind of getting at too. Like, she doesn't know at this point, right? So kind of have to steer her away from that. Like, if a kid wants to play with fire, be like, no, you don't understand that. Yeah, just saying. So
It's
I mean, it's yeah.
And you just have to do, you know, like while they're growing up, you just have to raise them as best as you can, you know. Yeah.
Faux show.
In that same vein, like forcing your children to adhere to the religion that you want them to versus letting them like choose on their own. This is something that I'm kind of mentally struggling with right now, because on the one hand, we want to let our children discover their own identity, be who they are, so long as they're still good people, which many of us see as, you know, the most important thing that we can ever teach them is to raise them to be good people, good to themselves, good to others. On the other hand, religion is so much about like our eternal soul. And if you are subscribing to belief, it's likely because you believe that is the right path, that is the way you are supposed to do it in order to like that is the path to enlightenment. So if you were walking down this path that you knew in your heart, in your soul, way, you let your child stray from the path and let them find their own way, and if you know they're going to fall into darkness that way. Right? I mean, that's it. I know that sounds really strange, but being a religious person myself, why would I let my daughter go to a different church or a completely different kind of religion if I fully believe that this is what she needs in order to like to be saved, I guess you can say. But on the other hand, I know that sounds a little bit crazy in today's terms.
No, I
so
I get what
how
you're
do you
saying.
reconcile that as parents?
And I think, you know, up until a certain point, like, you know, my daughter's a year old, so she's not in school, but I think, you know, going on to what we're going to talk about later is like school's going to have a big impact on what she decides. You know, maybe not
sure. Friends, schools.
Yeah, not in, like, you know, from kindergarten to like maybe 6th grade, but like going into high school and stuff. It's like, you know, trying different things and, you know, finding new religion is like, that's going to have a huge impact. Just like I said, what we're going to talk about later, where, you know, parents, you know, might not believe in Santa or something, you know, it's like, that's where it's like, okay, you can only lead your child so far. It's kind of like that analogy, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink type of thing, you know?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can make it drink. It might drown in the process, but you will make that horse drink. I'm a loving parent. Don't judge me for that comment, okay? No.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like where I'm leaving it open, you know? Right now it's her grandparents who are showing her the way. Like, me personally, I don't have a path, I don't think.
Well, I guess in this, I guess it's kind of a question for everybody too. if you knew your kid was straying down a path that you found out was like a mistake for yourself, would you how would you try and let them correct it, or would you let them go down that path? Like, I mean, it could be something as crazy. It could lead to, I don't know, an addiction or anything else like that. But in general, we would probably want to correct the course, right? And that's
I think it depends on. I mean, like if it's obviously something that will hurt them, or it's something that it's clear that it's a negative route, then you definitely want to steer them towards, or like just try to do your best to like let them choose the right path, you know. Because you don't, you know, that kind of like, I grew up with a very forceful father. Like my mom wasn't really that forceful with like my decisions, but my dad was, because he was like really religious. And so whenever I would date, you know, my dad was just like, certain time, he can't take you out on this day, very controlling.
Wow.
My mom, yeah, no, he was very strict. And that made me want to like, you know, rebel more. Hey, look at my name, Rebel. But no, that's but no, seriously, like that kind of I think like when you're a parent and you see your child, your offspring, like go down a really bad route and you're worried about them, I think you should just try to be like have a heart-to-heart conversation, or like, you know, just don't do anything that will negatively affect your kid, because you don't want to be the bad person. That's the last thing you would want to do, because then your kid is not going to listen to you, you know? It's like my dad doesn't know what he's talking about. But like, you know, after like years of like going, like being raised by my father, it's like I knew like it was like out of love and like him being worried about me. But he could have gone a different route, different way of like, you know, his concerns, and specifically with dating, you know, when you're a high school girl, it's I can't imagine.
I'm pretty lucky in that sense, because you know, I'm 6'1", like 300 pounds. So if she ever brings a boy over, then you're gonna be like, "What time do you want home, sir?" You know, like.
Yeah.
No, like, you can be like, "Hey man, you want to check out my setup? Let's play some Fortnite." And be like, "You ain't going on a date."
Oh, by the way, here's my shotgun, just in case you want to see it.
That's like my dad. Yeah, he's like, "You want to see my gun?" Like, I'm just like,
I'll be like, "You want to sub with Twitch Prime? Then you can take her out."
That's good.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Sorry, I get nervous.
For me, I'm kind of in a little bit of a unique situation, and I'm sure I'm going to get heat for this, but I am not religious, and I'm not atheist. I don't believe there is not a God, but I don't believe, like, anyway, I'm more agnostic, so I'm not religious. I don't practice. However, my son's father is Seventh-day Adventist. You guys know what that is, they worship on Saturdays. It's not like crazy or anything, but I am in the part where he's 8 now, so he's starting to ask questions. And for me, I feel like it's more detrimental at his age and like mental capacity and what he can understand for me to impose my thoughts on him, because I'm old enough to understand my decision. I'm old enough to understand what feels right for me. Church doesn't feel right for me, you know. However, I don't put any of that on him. I let him think what he wants to think. He wants to believe in God. He wants to believe in, he doesn't necessarily follow like the Seventh-day Adventists to the T, like how they don't pay for things from X time to X time. Like they have some funky rules. No offense if you're Seventh-day Adventist. But like they don't eat shrimp. Like he doesn't follow all that stuff, but he likes the idea of believing in God. And he's found like, you know, some sort of peace in that. And he now it's to the point he's asking me questions, and it's like I'm trying to like come up on the spot, like, you know, what do I say in a way that's not going to shed my thoughts on him? I don't want him thinking like I think at this age, because of, like you guys said, the community, the morals, all the good things that come with religion that aren't necessarily religion related, but all the good stuff that comes with it. I don't want him to miss out on and adapt my views and like not know how to differentiate. So, you know, like the other day he asked me, he was like, why did God make people if they die anyway? And I'm like, what do I say to that? Like, I don't know, because he
That's a
wasn't
complex
there. Like, how can I?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm having to dig deep and answer like these questions and stuff that he has about God, and because he's with me more time than his dad, even though he's sort of practicing his dad's views. So I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to figure out how to not steer him, like you guys are talking about, down a bad road of adapting my thoughts before he can understand why my thoughts are my thoughts. I haven't told him this. So I don't, if he wants to pray, I'll pray with them. Sometimes it makes me feel a little bit awkward because for me, I don't really I'm not really good at sugarcoating things or pretending. So I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. And I'm trying my hardest to appease his needs because he seems like he wants to be religious. And at no point in time will I deter him from that. I'm going to let him make his own choices. And it seems like that's what he wants to do. So I think it would be detrimental at that age to impose my thoughts on it, even though I don't practice. I don't feel comfortable practicing. So, but I think in school, I think that there's worse things that they could be teaching in school other than religion, or putting God in the national anthem. I don't think that, or Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, Pledge of Allegiance. So I don't think it's a detrimental thing. Yeah. Oops. So yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on it. Is I don't want him to adapt my mentality quite yet.
I think the Pledge of Allegiance. I think the Pledge of Allegiance is such a silly thing to fight back on too at the end of the day, because you're like, oh my gosh, can you remember when I was in second grade I had to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm like, man, it's shaped my life to where I am today. No,
yeah, I mean, it was
right.
For me. It was an honor to lead the Pledge of Allegiance in school.
I think with religion though, no matter what we do, ultimately, I know, I grew up in church, and I didn't make it my own thing until after I was in college and stuff. I would go through the motions and everything, and I wasn't I was never a party kid. Me and my friends our crazy times in high school were eating 5 pounds of gummy worms. I was a really good kid, but it was I'm a people pleaser. I want to please people, and so my parents instilled what they believe, but it wasn't until I became older. So I think even you not knowing, and I think that you not pushing your beliefs on him, I think that I think he's gonna come and find what is gonna work for him anyway. So it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, it does, because it's gonna guide them later on, but it's also at some point, we were saying earlier, we just need to let it go too, because they are we've raised them up the way we want, but they're going to go off to college and make their own decisions. And so everything we teach them now, that's the scariest part for me. Someday I'm not going to be able to control them and lock them in their room for an hour and a half while they're screaming, because they want out.
And she's going to come home and want a safe space and say she's going to vote for Bernie Sanders or something. I'm just kidding.
At some point I'm going to have to let go. And that's the scariest thing. I remember coming home from college and I was hanging out with friends, and my parents had no idea where I was, and I'd been living on my own for a while, and they were freaked out because they were I know you're with people we don't know, and where are you? And to me, I'm just I'm fine, but really looking back now, I probably wasn't in the best, that wasn't a safe spot for me to be in, but they still had to trust that I was going to make my own decisions, and I was old enough to, and that is really scary for me, that someday these kids are gonna grow up and be one of us and be adults, and that's
right. Well, you were an adult.
Exactly.
You were an adult at that point. I feel this is going to be so hard for me too, letting her go. But I'm trying to tell myself I just have to trust in how I raised her, so that when she is an adult, she knows what's right and wrong, what's safe, what's not, and that that I hopefully turned her into a well-meaning, capable adult. That's what man, that's going to be so hard. But
we
also have to remember what it was like being teenagers. It's this is my life, Mom. This is, you got to live your life already.
I'd be hi. No, my son, he came home the other day. It was actually Valentine's Day. It was around Valentine's Day. And I was just I was kind of like teasing him. I'm like, so do you have a crush on anyone? Because he goes to pre-K. And he was like, yes. And I was like, what? You have a crush on someone?
You're like, I wasn't ready for this question.
Yeah, no, I was just teasing him. I was like, really? Because usually whenever I mention girls, he's like, ew, you know. But yeah, he was like, yeah. And I'm like, what's her name? And he was just like, oh, she's my classmate. And I'm just like, oh my God. So, you know, I mean, like, I thought it was adorable. Totally unexpected answer, you know. It's nothing bad, of course, because he's 5. But yeah, the day that he's like 15, 16, he's like, yeah, I'd be like, hi, Tiffany.
Right.
How's it
Yeah,
going?
when I first introduced my my wife to my mom for the first time, she's like, I thought you were gay. I'm like, really?
Really?
Come on,
Oh
mom.
my God.
I introduced myself to my wife's family. They're first off, they're high, so it helped out.
Not like my parents, like.
Yeah.
What?
So I don't recommend meeting a family at like a funeral for the first time because it's just super awkward. So that was my story. But then again, we met on Craigslist, so that's a whole nother. I'm just kidding, no. But
I was like,
no,
really?
no, we didn't meet on Craigslist. But yeah, that's a whole nother story too. But no, so I met her family, and some of her family members, her cousins and stuff like that, were like super high. And she was dating somebody from New Zealand at the time. He actually did come to the States and meet him. And so then I thought it would be funny. I would just be like, oh, yeah, it's like, I'm from Australia. So I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not part of those Kiwis and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. So
Oh my gosh.
right now it's bad accent because I haven't practiced in a while, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Where were you even going with that?
I don't remember. I just wanted to do an Australian accent for a couple of seconds. And say sub to all these beautiful people with your subprime. Do that as well. Or, God, I can't do it. Twitch Prime. Subprime. Subprime is like a mortgage late. Don't do that. I'm adulting too hard right now. Oh my goodness. It's been a long week for me. But I've been looking forward to this so much. I know these are like super difficult questions. And I appreciate everyone being so candid and open to sharing.
Nice,
So, like,
yeah, it's nice to be open and hearing you guys feel about this topic. It's really enlightening and it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is no one like we can have an idea of which direction we want to go. We know we don't want our kid to do this or like we don't want our kid to be rude to somebody. We don't want our kid to kill somebody. I'm like, as long as we're on like that path and stuff like that, like we feel like we're doing a good job. But there's such little tough things about that, and I think it's really interesting is whether you believe in God or not. What I kind of heard about this and is a lot of people sample like the morality from religion or Christianity or in some sort of fashion for morals, which I think is really interesting. So that's why I think people may want to run away from religion, which is fine because the Bible talks bad about religion anyways. It's more about the relationship and stuff like that at the end of the day. But that's so important to...
Oh, wait, it's kidding. Hey, I'm going to mute myself.
It's so important. It's so much more important to live life together than
Get
doing
your
that.
hands out of your pants. Get your hands out of your pants. Get your hands out of your pants.
She's still not muted.
Should we tell her she's not muted?
No.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we heard it.
Yes.
Get your hand out of your pants. Get your hand out of your pants.
Sounds like a clip.
What do you say?
Welcome
Oh,
Twitch fans.
Guys, hang on. I'll be right back.
Oh my gosh. I'm like totally thrown off now.
Wait, what?
Well, like as far as like some of the topics of stuff, I'm going blank.
You have
Well,
that right.
I know I have them there, but there was something that I was. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. So as far as like the religious thing, I think another thing that's crazy is that a lot of people view like virginity as like a down thing, right? And it's not really celebrated in today's society when realistically it shouldn't be. It should be kind of celebrated in a way, or it shouldn't be made fun of, I guess you could say. But the inverse also happens too, with the double standard of being too promiscuous or anything like that. What I find interesting is we don't celebrate, like, if you've been around church and you hear testimonies of people, and the testimonies that should be like celebrated the most are the ones that didn't have like this fall from grace or anything like that, because there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like having this sort of thing. Like, my wife is totally that story. She's a group in church, did all this stuff. What else can I say? Are you fine with me saying it? Whatever. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna get beat later. She didn't have like the fallen grace where I did, where I'm like, I tried drugs, I ended up in jail, I did this and all this other stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I've tried this side and it still didn't work, and I still ended up here. So I think that's another thing where in society we don't really celebrate people who are what is labeled as normal, or just being a dweeb, or I don't know what the Twitch term is, but whatever, it's okay. it's okay to be
Lame.
It's okay to have a past.
lame. Yeah.
Lab.
And it's okay to have a past as well too. But yeah. What's up, the Red Flame Fox? Thanks for raiding, man. That's one of the other dads that we have on the podcast and stuff like that too. Since we're kind of tied in with the religious stuff, we did kind of hammer it a little bit. What about Santa, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, or any of those religious things? How do you guys tell the kids Santa or whatnot? I'm already gonna give my kid therapy because there's an app where you can FaceTime Santa, and you could program it to say her name and favorite food and everything else like that. So she's like on Team Santa. She's like, Dad, can we FaceTime Santa? And we like did the other day, and I'm like,
But like,
I'm in trouble.
so Santa was never like my like big like any of these things, like, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna tell the truth. Like, I still did Santa a little bit, but I kind of knew all along like Santa wasn't real. But she like came out of the womb like all about Santa, and there's like nothing, like it wasn't even us. It was just like I don't know where she saw it, but she's like, I love Santa, and it's like, okay, well, I guess we'll just play into that a little bit. And like, for sure, Santa does not take credit. Like, he doesn't get credit for anything big. Like, he gives like toothbrushes and underwear and like
Just the stockings.
he gets like essentials that like I gotta buy this for him anyway. I might as well just put it in the stocking.
Santa ain't bringing no PS4 for Brindley.
And yet, like, she is still so in love with him, and I don't understand it. Like, I don't know. She's crazy.
She likes people with white beards, apparently. Which mine's going gray.
Yeah. Weird.
See, my son always has been really analytical on question stuff. So when it came around to the Tooth Fairy, which was the first thing that he really got into, was Tooth Fairy. It wasn't even Santa. But then he started questioning. He was like, "Well, the Tooth Fairy's little." Because I threatened. I'm like, "I'm going to call a Tooth Fairy if you don't behave. She's not going to bring you any money." And of course, my dad likes to give 50s for teeth.
50?
And I'm like, "Dad, I can't keep up with this. You
Does
better."
Daddy another son?
And so it was
I'm still
like a
losing
big deal to him. And I was like, you cannot, or he was like, how can you call a Tooth Fairy? She's too little. She can't hold a phone. So he would ask stuff like that. He's always like, his little mind just goes a trillion miles an hour. So then finally I was like, you're right, Avery, you caught us. Like, Tooth Fairy's not real, Santa's not real. And he was like,
you just laid it all out at once.
I did, because he's so analytical. Like, you don't understand.
You got me.
That's
all
everything
true.
true. So I was like, okay, he can handle the truth. And then, a couple years later, he picks this thing back up with Santa, and he's like, yeah, Santa got me this. And, now he believes it again. So I'm like, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're believing in this stuff now again. Because all of his little friends do. And so he believes in it now. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. So this kind of goes along with the religion thing. It's like, okay, another thing, I have to... okay, we're believing in this now, so I gotta kind of keep it up as long as possible. But he's 8, so I don't know when I should retell him hey, Santa's not real. Or,
My parents never told me that Santa was or wasn't real. I mean, I guess they tried every Christmas.
Either. I found letters, and I was like,
"Oh, that's
why
so
are they
sad.
here?"
Dang. Yeah, I would watch my dad like buy us presents, and then like when Christmas came around the corner, it would say from Santa to Nicole, which is my name, and it was the same present. I'm just like, wow, you're lying to my face, It's like I caught on. I never said.
Yeah, I only
Well,
found that Santa wasn't real when I got the invitation for the podcast. So I did some research and I'm like, holy
What's
crap,
that?
he's not real?
I guess we should have said spoiler alert to the kids.
I don't
watching
know.
the chat. Dang it. Sorry, kids. Forgot about that. What about you, Anne?
Well, baby Lanty is still she's a little too young
True.
to understand the concept of Santa or the Tooth Fairy or any of that. I grew up more wanting to believe that Santa and the Tooth Fairy were real. I don't think I actually ever really believed in them. I think it was just kind of like a game that I wanted to play because I knew something that we all just kind of pretended we believed in. So, I mean, I guess I'll let her run around with it as long as she wants. But, I mean, someone's going to break the news to her at school, right? I don't feel like I'm going to have to do much. As for the Easter Bunny, I didn't realize until I was probably in middle school that was something that people thought was ever real because we never had Easter Bunny stuff.
Really?
Yeah, that one doesn't hit home for me at all.
Yeah.
That one, I think the Easter Bunny crushed me more than Santa.
Really?
Yeah, because
Just now.
No. Because like waking up, Santa, he's like, the gifts are there, so it's like, oh, he might have came at night, whatever. But like my parents, when they were still together, they kind of went all out. Where I remember waking up on Easter Sunday, and then just sitting in the living room with no presents. I'm like, oh, it's Easter, I got presents last time, and then somebody would knock on the door, and I'd look outside, and there's just all these gifts. Like that memory stays with me forever because Power Rangers was super popular, so it was a Megazord. Like the Easter Bunny bought me a Megazord, and then I look out and I see all these eggs all over the yard. So it's like, oh
That's
man,
cool.
that's so cool. It's super early in the morning, and I just see the gate kind of open, like he had just left. So that's what I think. Easter Bunny hit me kind of hard, and that's my wife is like, oh, we got to get her walking before Easter so she can hunt eggs. And it's like, I know that, that's going to crush me because she's going to find out at school. I won't have the heart to tell her that there's no Santa, there's no Easter Bunny, there's no Tooth Fairy. She's going to find out at school. And when that day comes, it's going to be worse than, hey, Dad, I'm getting married. It's like
Her innocence, her childhood.
Yeah. It's
Her
like, oh, man.
belief, her pure.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm realizing that I'm a really lazy parent because I would never do the stuff your parents did.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's get for the Easter Bunny, we're just gonna get a plastic pool. They need bathing suits. Let's just throw that in there with a little couple toys. All right, well that's what the Easter Bunny's
a
gonna
toothbrush
do.
for all the candy they're gonna eat from anywhere else.
And I'm like,
Such a
Yeah.
white person thing to do. I'm sorry, I'm saying it. No.
I mean,
I'm like, I would never that's way too much effort. I have to wake up early in the morning. That's not happening.
yeah.
I literally only got Easter eggs, and that was fine with me.
That's all I do. It's just
Yeah.
We had
Like-
my mom was like a gift person, so we would have a good basket and stuff like that. And so for the girls, that's why we do a little bit of a basket with some essential stuff, but nothing crazy. Or if it's just candy, but nothing like a freaking
Lambo.
Megazord or Lambo.
So I was thinking about this a couple days ago, talking to some of my team members, and my family, we didn't have Easter eggs when we were younger that were we would plastic ones. We would every family of all my cousins, we would do hard boiled eggs. We'd all decorate them the night before, and then we'd bring them, and then all the aunts and our parents would go and hide all the eggs, and we'd all be hiding in my grandparents' house. And I was thinking, how disgusting, because not only would we find them, we'd go and we'd bring them in, and we'd all eat them, or we'd make boiled eggs with these eggs that sat out there, and I'm just like, what's wrong
Ew.
with my family? Why was that a thing?
Allison just found a thing, or the dogs ate it, but they found an egg from last year with candy in it. So,
Ew, that's
the
gross.
dogs ate it though, so it was fine. Which could have meant Brinley or Michaela might have eaten it too. So I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, the
Last Easter.
the Santa thing. Yeah, I'm setting her up for a huge failure. So that's gonna be.
Aw.
I'm putting away at least $500 for that therapy session. Be like, here's some ice cream. Here's
Aw.
this therapy. No. But I think for
Yeah.
us, like we are tying it to I guess advice way, because like we look for different ways to try and tie that into where it's not like, you know, our beliefs about Christmas or about the birth of Christ. So like we'll have like a birthday cake for Jesus in the sense, so that kind of still puts like a focus on that reason for the holiday at this age, because they'll remember that portion of it. We still do the cookies and everything else.
Yeah, it's all
for
about Santa and the elves and like the mythology surrounding Christmas now, and not like the religious root of it anymore.
And so if they say it, then we kind of explain like, well, Santa is like, or Jesus is like Santa in a way, or
Santa's like Jesus.
yes, thank you. That's what you're here for. Thank you. Keep me in my place. No. What was it again? Santa's like Jesus.
Jesus is like Santa?
Yes, something like that. Anyways,
Is Jesus?
Blank is like
I'm
blank.
kidding.
yeah.
Any way you put it.
One's real, one's fake, but the reason that the behind of like Jesus, like Santa gives presents, is the way that Jesus gives his love to us, and all this other stuff is similar, and that's what, right? Did I word that correctly? Okay, that's what we're going with. So that's like, and at least we can spin it to where, yes, we did tell you this lie, but we did it for good reason. I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think I was like heartbroken. Like when I found out, like with Santa, I was probably I was the oldest of 4 in 5 years, and I was like, I think I held on a little longer than I probably should have.
She was 20.
It's better than 30. I mean,
But like, I don't think that I was heartbroken. I think I was just like, all right, I'm still gonna, like, my parents still did the stockings and stuff for her, so it's not like I missed out on anything. It's just like, okay, creepy guy at the mall's not someone I need to go sit on a lap anymore. Like, let's just move on. And so I'm hoping that maybe it won't be devastating to them.
Yeah, Brinley like went straight up to Santa too, so we should have known that from the get go. Like she's never had a bad Santa picture. She's just like, what's up?
She pooped
Aw.
on him.
Yeah,
She pooped on him
that's
the
what
first time, but that was it.
that's what I wanted to ask you guys too. Is like, how did the first like Santa picture or Easter Bunny picture go for you guys? Because for me, it was torture. Like just trying to get her sit still, it didn't happen. Even with her cousins up there, like it did not happen.
Aw.
Like I think that's the first time she said "Mama." I was like, "Get me away from this man." I like my daddy's beard. I don't like this guy's beard.
Aw.
Oh.
But yeah, it was terrible. And I think we're gonna try the Easter Bunny this year. I'm not sure though. But yeah, like what was your guys' experiments with
First
pictures?
experience with Santa, it was my son's, not my dad, but my ex's father. He has like white hair, so he just bought like a Santa beard and dressed up at his work, which was like a car dealership. And then my son's grandma took him like around Christmas time. It wasn't on Christmas, it was just like a week before. And my son was he wasn't a year old yet. He was born in July, so he was like a couple months old. And when he sat on his grandpa's lap, his grandpa was like, I guess he recognized his voice because, that's his grandpa. And he looked at him with like all this drool, and he was like he looked shocked to hear his voice. Like he kind of like did the expression on his face, like, whoa. And he was just like smiling or anything. I think he was just like really confused about Santa's voice being like, his grandpa's voice, closely resembling it. Yeah, he didn't even like try to hide the fact that to be Santa. He just made it obvious.
He was like, "You smell like beef and cheese." I don't
you smell like my grandpa. No, exactly. I don't even know if he actually believes in Santa, to be honest. Like, I have no idea. Yeah.
And it's like one of those questions you can't really ask him, because then you'd be like, so,
Exactly, yeah.
How's your thoughts on
He
Santa?
loves Christmas.
We cool.
Yeah,
On
no.
the naughty list. Did you get an email or something?
All you gotta do is, hey,
Good
Santa
job.
called me.
Oh, I say that to Brinley right now. She's like, "Did he tell you I'm on the bad list now?" And she rats herself out. So it's kind of like a tool right now. So I kind of
I have
like
no idea you've been doing that.
she did the other day. She's like, "Yeah, oh, yeah." There's
That's a good
another-
way to get your kids to be good is by like telling, I'm gonna tell Santa if you're not behaving, you know, like
Yeah.
it works for my son. Taught me like the day of Christmas. I ate all the cookies and I left my hair tie next to the plate of cookies. And he woke up, he went to like the Christmas tree with the coffee table where the empty plate of cookies were. And he was like, Santa ate all the cookies. This was last Christmas. And I was like, wow, oh my goodness, he came. And then he saw my hair tie next to the plate and he was like, here's your hair tie. Like he didn't even flinch, but like I was just like sweat down my face. Like he's gonna figure me out.
You're like Monka S.
Yeah, like
Oh, we were hanging out last night.
with, like
Yeah, we didn't just leave cookies for Santa. We left carrots for the reindeer too. I think those were my dad's.
aw.
I think the
cool.
carrots were for my dad. And my mom ate the cookies.
Do we
That's
leave
cool.
carrots out this year or no? I forget.
Yes.
We did, yeah.
It was
We left
commitment.
carrots out.
And I don't think any of us ate them. I think they just went straight
They just went in the trash.
I gotta write
Man.
that down. Carrots for reindeer. All right,
Yes.
cool. Because now, you know, my daughter was born in January, so this year she's gonna be almost 2 when Christmas comes around. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to start getting into that groove, like, because I want her to believe, like I don't want her, like my mom, I have a younger sister who's 10, and my mom told her like when she was like 4 or 5, like there's no Santa, I'm Santa. like because my mom, she's dealing with a lot of mental health things too. So it's like,
Yeah.
she's like, for me, it's easier that way. I'm like, all right, it's fine. But like when I give her a gift from Santa, like, hey, you dropped this off at my house, you're gonna deal with it, because she's not ready to believe that there's no Santa. Like, and I'm gonna keep it that way, and I'm gonna do everything I can for my daughter to make her believe, like, at least there's a Santa and an Easter Bunny, because I don't know if I'm gonna have another kid, and
Yeah, you definitely want to savor like these, when they're young and traditions that you grew up with, that that they love and everything. You definitely want to do that because like, it's weird. When I was little, I always knew like Santa wasn't real, but I still like, man, like Christmas is such a fun holiday and I see Santa at the mall or wherever and I'm just like, I still want a picture even though he's not real, but like, it's still like something, it's still fun, and
Hmm.
it's really sweet for sure,
Oh, yeah.
So guys, I actually have to go because
Yeah.
I have to stream in like
No.
30 minutes. I'm sorry. I wish I could stay longer.
No,
That's
don't
okay.
feel bad. I appreciate it. Like, definitely, if you ever want to come back, you're definitely welcome guests on the thing. So,
Yeah, definitely. Just let me know. Like if you need an extra person for the podcast, just you know where to reach me.
yeah, we'll tackle
All right.
even more crazy issues next time. But no, I'm just kidding.
All
Yes.
right.
Make sure you guys follow. Are you gonna be on Twitch
It
later?
will be on Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be a Twitch stream.
Alright,
so.
we'll probably come host you after this if you're still on it. If
Aw.
unless someone else is doing it, but we'll probably come send them back over there. So,
Well, thank you for inviting me. This was really fun. It was nice meeting you guys and just
It's
talking
really
about
nice
this.
meeting you.
yeah, same.
Oh, thank you.
Same.
You guys take care. I'll if you guys are still on, it's probably gonna be like a 2-hour live stream. If you guys are still on, I'll stop by. But yeah, I mean, yeah, thank you for having me on here.
no, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping up
Stream.
here pretty soon too. So, but no, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Cool. Well,
Still here. Oh,
Boys against girls.
actually, yeah, we are outnumbered again. Dang it! No, I'm just kidding. So, so the Santa thing, our first experience, Brinley actually pooped on Santa.
Nice.
Oh
Awesome.
my goodness, that poor Santa.
That is one excellent way to establish dominance. Santa, you better.
Dude, she came in. She was. Well, I don't know.
She's so tiny. Like she looks like a doll in the picture. Like she's like this big. Like sitting. Like he's holding her, and then like all of a sudden they're trying to get her to smile, and all of a sudden she just like explodes everywhere. And I'm just like so embarrassed, and we're like the only ones in there, luckily. But I was like, how do I clean up my child now? And like, sorry Santa, have fun with that, and just like skedaddle. We're like, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was keeping an eye on chat, and somebody said that like there's so many Santas that get peed on in malls. It's crazy. And, like,
Yeah.
I just thought about that right now. I'm like, jeez, that's true, man. It's like, and poop now. It's like, oh man, no, thank you. I'll never be a Santa. Not even for my kid.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Michaela didn't do well both times.
No.
So she was. Yeah. So Brinley's just sitting there like, just smiling like this, and then Michaela's just like lost it. So it's that typical like chill kid and not so chill kid. Like it'd be funny if like we got the one where she's just like staring at him, just like questioning, but I couldn't get that. That happened with Vader at South by Southwest. Darth Vader. All right. So as we're winding down, let's see, what are some of the other top? Or Giovanni? Did you say your first Santa experience with a kiddo, or no? Or what you're saying?
It wasn't anything crazy from what I remember. He just hasn't really showed any interest in it. I am a photographer IRL, so I actually work in the industry and I do Santa photos a lot at like malls and stuff. So he's kind of been around it from the beginning. So when it came time for him to do Santa photos, it wasn't really anything. He didn't really care. Like Santa doesn't motivate him. Dunkin' Donuts motivates him. I tell him like, hey, we are not going to Dunkin' Donuts. You are not getting your decaf coffee that I tell you I needed it. He's like, no, I need my coffee.
Oh no.
So yeah, Santa hasn't really been like a thing in our house.
He's a basic chick. No,
Oh my goodness. When we do like the podcast with the kids, if we have that planned, he is a character.
Yeah, that's gonna be another fun one as we're finding more and more parents that are comfortable with having their kids on stream. One of the things I want to do is if the kid is old enough and the parents obviously are cool with it, like we're gonna do like a Kids Say the Darndest Thing edition where we have the kids on stream and we're asking them the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be really fun. You're okay with that, right?
I'm excited for
I
that.
forgot to ask her, but
I tell everybody only I can exploit my kid,
yeah.
so she's gonna be on my stream. I'm just
So yeah, no, we'll do because like the Friday stream, I kind of want to have it like where it's like this, where people can kind of come in and either ask us questions. If you join my Discord, put exclamation point Discord or it's discord.gg/Ferris. I'll have a parenting section there where you can post questions. Everyone who's on the stream, if they see the questions, they want to answer it, cool. Feel free to, help those people out or whatnot. I think that's going to be like, one of my goals is to have a place where parents can come ask questions and get ideas and stuff if they need to. The second thing is, or just posting questions that they want to see us talk about on the show, which would be really cool too.
Just networking with other parent streamers.
Yeah, and even if you're not a streamer, just like if you're a gamer and you're trying to figure out like all that sort of stuff. But I think finding that balance
parents
there.
on Twitch.
The last topic I have for us tonight, and we'll wrap it up here, will be what do you think about teaching your kids sharing? Like in the aspect of that. So it's kind of interesting thing because I've seen some articles about stuff saying like you shouldn't, like a kid, we say we don't want to force our kids to do stuff, but yet we're so quick to force a kid to share at times. And so they're saying like they're doing studies on it and saying like the psychology behind it. And so like someone can come up to you and come up to you and say, hey, I want your toy. And then you go over there and be like, hey, share your toy. It's like, well, why do you have to share that? I don't know. What are you guys thoughts on sharing, or do you guys see that viewpoint of it, or?
I think it's kind of situational. Like for what I would do in that situation, like say, a kid is playing with a toy and my son comes up to him, like, and I would say probably like, okay, let's find another toy, but here in a little bit, maybe we'll swap toys and share that way or something like that, to where like they know a share is going to happen in the future. I wouldn't just demand it and be like, no, you need to share with my kid. Or if it was my kid, be like, no, you need to share with this kid right now. I'll be like, okay, well, we'll do something else for a little bit, and then in the future we're going to share, not just like demand it. I think sharing is good. I think that a lot of kids naturally have like a possessive like thing about them, to where they're just like, I just want to, this is my thing, I'm emotionally attached to it, I don't want to lose it, you know. And then other kids want to come up and play with that thing that you like so much too, or that they like so much too. And so they kind of want to yank it and be like, no, that's mine. So I think the concept of sharing is very good. But when it comes to, I've seen other parents do this, like with daycares and stuff, where someone will just be really kind of like biased about it. And it's like, no, let's just implement sharing is going to happen in the future soon. And then, you know, the switch happens. Like, that's what I personally would do. Because I've seen someone do that to my child. And it's like, you don't.
Right.
So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I've had.
With
Oh no, go ahead.
I mean, I was gonna go into my story
Yeah,
about
do it.
my daughter and sharing, but you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, Brindley, like with Brindley and Michaela, I think it's a little bit different situationally, because we're trying to teach her to, like, okay, well, if Michaela wants to take something, or I don't know, situations where Brindley sees Michaela trying to play with something that she wants, and then Brindley wants to try and take it, and so we're trying to teach her to trick her by saying, here, you want this? And they trade. So it's just like,
That's a thought.
so we're teaching her commerce, right? And like, here, you want this instead.
That's an even more
I think
important
too,
life
we're
skill.
trying to teach her that, like, I mean,
You can't just take it though either.
you can't take it, and so we're trying to teach Michaela that, but also trying to teach Michaela or Brindley that, like, you do need to share. Like, these things aren't just yours, and like, we bought them for you to enjoy with other people. And I don't, like, there's times where, yeah, she's fine, like, I want her to be by herself, like, she wants alone time, but also I want her to learn, like, when I'm at work, I have to share, like, office supplies. I have to share things in my everyday life, and I don't want to raise a child that doesn't know how to share and just thinks that's mine and gets angry at someone because someone took their pen and now they're upset at that. Like, just, all right, hey, that's mine, like, you can borrow it, I'll take it back later, whatever. Like, I want to teach my kid to be able to handle situations when they get older and in school and past that and stuff. Like, I've worked with people who, like, their kids don't do that. Like, they're like, oh, we don't, like, if that my kid's playing with something, like, they get really upset if another kid is like they get upset that their kids hit another kid, and they're not upset their kid, they're upset that another kid tried taking that toy. And I understand that to an extent, but also I think it's really hard, and it's going to be situational, but, like, you also need to teach your kid it's not okay to hit, and maybe, like, hey, have that time and then go on, because that same team member that I had would also really struggles with giving up things themselves. And so I'm like, I see that, like, you're instilling that on your child now, that they're going to become you later, that you really struggle if someone does have your pen that you found that you didn't even buy. Like, it's just, I think that really makes it a really hostile environment, and I don't want that to, like, I just see that, and I don't want that to happen going forward with my kids. But I also want them to be able to stand up for themselves and say, no, I'm playing with that right now, you hold on, and I'll give it to you in a few minutes or something. So it's that fine line, and, like, I'm gonna mess up at times, and I might get onto my kid or someone else's kid to be like, get back, but just trying to find that fine line, I guess. So.
Do you want to share your toothbrush later?
No.
Oh my gosh, you touched on so many points. Okay, I'm gonna try to hit them.
Sorry.
Number one, I don't think that just because someone comes up and wants to play this with something that baby Lanty has, I don't think that means that she has to share it immediately. I think that it's fair for her to think, oh, someone else wants this. Let me finish what I'm doing with it really quickly and mentally prepare for giving it up. I think that's fair. I don't think it's right to teach her that it's okay go up to someone and demand something and they have to give it to her immediately either. Like, she needs to learn, I have to wait if someone else is using something. Therefore, it's okay for me to expect them to wait a little bit before I give it to them, number one. Number two, Oh, what was the thing that you just now said? I can't remember. Oh, I was gonna try to hit a bunch of points. Well, she is right now. I only have her, and so everything that looks like a toy so far in her life has been hers. So now that she has a cousin who's 9 months younger than her, and they're finally getting to the age where they can really interact and they can both pick up toys and start playing with things. My daughter wants everything that's in her cousin's hand. It doesn't matter what it is. She will go take it from her. And then if you give something else to her cousin, she'll drop whatever it was and go take it from her. It's like, no, you have it, which makes it appetizing, therefore it's mine. We're trying to teach her, like, no. She's in the early stages of sharing, but on the other hand, she has this like stuffed animal. And if you are a stranger and she locks eyes with you, she's going to give it to you. She expects it right back, but she's going to give it to you. And it's like her favorite thing in the world. So I'm going to try to cultivate that. But in the same vein, I also think it's fair to allow children to decide on a limited number of items what's okay for them to share and what's not. Like the attachment object, their one and only favorite toy in the whole wide world. Like the toy that they're going to take with them to college. I don't think that I should ever expect a child to be willing to share that. And I think it's okay for other kids to say, this is my favorite toy. I don't like sharing this one, but you can play with any of my other toys. Right. And I had one last thing. Oh, and also in the vein of like, if your parents ever gave you something that was like really valuable and it's like, you are now old enough and responsible enough that you can use this. Understand like, oh, I have to take care of this. It's fair for the child to say, you know what, I can't allow someone else to play with this because like this is either valuable or fragile, or I want them to be able to use their best judgment. Like this friend is probably good enough. Like I can trust them and I think that they'll respect my things. But maybe not the class clown that just wants to see everything that's in everyone else's hands. I mean, there's so many dimensions to this, and she's only a year and a half, so I don't know how to. Like, I'm like way over my head at this point.
You're like asking her who she's gonna vote for already. No,
right, I know, but point
What are your
being,
thoughts on communism?
sharing is important, but you don't always have to share immediately. You don't have to share your absolute favorite thing. And if you want to go up to someone and like play with their toys, you're going to have to wait your turn. Those are my big ones.
Those are good ones.
So, yeah.
I'll be honest. I haven't even thought about sharing. Because even though I'm the oldest of 7, like the youngest sibling I have, she is 9 years younger than me. So for 9 years, I was an only child. I had my cousin his birthday's like the day after mine. We're pretty much like brothers, but like he lived in Corona where I lived in like LA. So we were always far apart. So the only time I had to share really was at school. And, like when my siblings started, being born and stuff, it's like, okay, you have your toys. I don't play with toys anymore. I'm busy playing baseball. Just don't touch my glove, basically. And, it's like thinking about it now, it's like I really never thought about how I'm going to teach my daughter how to share because she is an only child. And her closest cousin to her age is about an hour and a half away from where we live. So it's like, okay, that's when it's going to be difficult. And, I was reading like just right now, like on a Cornell Chronicle, like research finds kids share when it's done by choice. And, then it's like, okay, well, yeah, I get it. They should choose to what they want to share. Like you said, I'm not gonna have her share her favorite Elmo toy because that's hers. Like she carries that around with her. That's what she takes to the car with her. But like I can't. I'm not. I don't know. Like I don't know.
We're here to help you when that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
help.
but at the same time, she's only a year and 3 months old, so
Yeah.
it's like I said, she's barely learning how to walk on her own, and like I know that's gonna be tough once she starts like having to share and stuff, and I just don't know where I'm like, you have to share that, and when she starts talking, why do I have to share that? You bought it for me. It's like, oh well, yeah, I guess I did, but he wants to play with it, but I'm playing with it. Like, why do I have to share it? Like that's what I'm not prepared for, and I know it's gonna be a battle, and I know it's gonna end up being like, well, your mom could answer that question.
Or you're
I'm
gonna
saying
get that
share-
because I said so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I desperately don't want to be that parent where like, why do I have to do this? Oh, because that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want to
Well,
give.
I liked what you said earlier about, hey, I didn't just buy this for you. I bought this for you to enjoy with other people. That was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to remember that one. I liked that. Like that might help you, Andrew, with the whole like, why do I have to share it? You bought it for me. It's like, well, actually, this is for everyone. Like, yes, it's yours, but its purpose is to enjoy with others.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. But you
that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That I mean, yeah, that's great, but like,
Mhm.
it's gonna be harder and get harder and harder as she gets older. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to enjoy this with other people, but like, I'm the only person that plays with it ever, and I'm playing with it now, and somebody just because I'm playing with it, it's like kids, I have my bottle opener, and somebody else wants to use it just because I have it, and they'll take it away.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm the only person that plays with this. Like, why do they want it all of a sudden? I don't know. I just, I'm dreading that point. But
I have to learn how to share my stream already, as you guys saw earlier in the thing. But yeah.
yeah,
Let's be honest. She's a better streamer than me already. People much rather see her do her cruddy Fortnite dance than me. No.
yeah. People don't tune into my stream anymore for me. It's for my wife. It's like, all right. And now, like, for the past couple days, she never came out here when I was streaming, and now she just like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, you know what I'm doing? It's 6:00. I'm streaming. She's like, oh. So she'll stand like right off camera, and then you just like see her hand float in, and everybody's like, wife. And she, like, for the past couple nights, she's been playing Uno on my stream. It's like, I guess I'll watch the baby for another hour or two.
I mean, if you're able to do it together, I think that would be one of my goals. But I think for Holly, like, streaming was very difficult because at the time when she did it, she was also pregnant, and so some of the trolls decided to say some not so nice things, and so
yeah,
and women are wired a little bit more emotionally, so they can't really like, or I guess it sticks a little harder,
Especially
when
pregnant.
when you comment, yeah. When you
Like,
comment on somebody's on a woman's looks and their hormonal on top of that, like, it's just bad. It's bad news. I'm digging myself another hole. So there's like 5 things I'm gonna have to sleep on that couch for tonight, but it's okay.
No, but for real, even after my daughter was born, some friends over for the first time. I was only a couple weeks out, and you're still like very sensitive at that point. My husband accidentally broke a plate, and I actually started crying because it upset me so much that he was so careless with my plates while he was helping me load the dishwasher. And my guests were still there, and my mom was there, and my mom's like, "It's really okay." I'm like, "It's my plate." It's just the stupidest thing ever, right? But yeah, I could. Man, do you think I wanted to cry like in front of my guests?
No,
Not
just
at all. Like, you do
Maybe.
not have
Hormones are
control.
terrible.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So
I can laugh about it now, but it was not funny at the time.
for sure. Yeah, there's so much bad news with hormones and stuff. I put out a thing earlier in the thing with some Q&A from the chat. Do you guys want to try and tackle them real quick, and then we'll wrap up? Does that sound like a plan?
Sure.
Cool.
I'm good with that.
So this question was, what's your best and worst moments of being a parent? Not everyone at
Ooh.
once now.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely.
Just think about what I want to tell the public.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: being able to stream uninterrupted would be the worst part of it. And freaking, I want to be able to go on these trips to TwitchCon and not have to worry about this stuff. Costs so much more money, so that's the worst part of it. Is like, whenever you're traveling and doing anything else, you now have to think about that you can't be selfish anymore. So if you're a selfish
Logistics
person, and logistics, it's expensive and you can't be selfish anymore. The
Mm-hmm.
best part, however, though, is the undescribable feeling when the kids are more excited when you come home as opposed to mom. So
Yeah.
Sugar, you always have treats or something.
they're
for
addicted.
them.
They're like, dad.
Yeah, I have to say the best part of being a parent, especially like a stay-at-home parent, that I stay at home, I watch my daughter. The best part is like the naps I get to take with her. Not because I get to sleep, but like knowing that like she's comforted with me being there, and like when she wakes up, she knows I'm there. That like,
Mhm.
or like if I'm just sitting down watching TV and she'll climb up on me and fall asleep. Like that's the best. And the worst moment so far is like when she first got sick. Like
Mm.
the feeling of helplessness. Like I know what to do when I'm sick, but I don't know what's wrong with you. You can't tell me. You just cry and pee and poop, like, and eat. Like that's all you do. But you can't tell me. That feeling of helplessness is like by far the worst, especially now too. Like because she's teething, it's like I can give you some medicine. You know how to take medicine now, but I know that's not going to help. It's going to help for a little bit, but that's it. And it's like just that feeling of helplessness. It's the worst, especially for a child, your child.
Mhm.
You know, I think that's the best and worst so far. And I know further on down the road, there's going to be a lot more, especially with a daughter. It's like, God, come
Yay.
on.
I think the best for me is that like having them come and just want to like love on you and give you hugs and be like mommy, and like having people, like I've had multiple people recently say like your girls are so well behaved, and like I know that has not like, yeah, that might be part of us, but that really, I think we just got blessed with like really good kids for the most part. But just like having other people acknowledge that like our kids are awesome and like they love us, and like that people can see that we have a loving home and that we're raising our kids hopefully normal-ish as much as you can, with both of us being crazy. And then like the worst I think is like having two working parents, and like we're just tired when we come home and like trying to get dinner and like it's really late, and just like the patience, not like losing your patience at the end of the day. Like the kids are fussy because they're tired or they're hungry and you've been working all day, and just snapping at them, or like just like popping on the bottom, or like putting them in timeout and thinking later like, I could have had more patience, or just like they probably just needed a hug, or just like time, they just wanted time with me, and instead I was just frustrated at them. And so I think that's probably the worst, is like when you realize that like you messed up in how you punish them, whether or not they're doing something right or wrong. Like there was something behind that of why they were doing that at the time. And so just realizing that like sometimes you just gotta take a breather, and that's gonna be stepping outside and telling a neighbor, go inside my house and I'm gonna hang out here for a minute or whatever. I think that like learning that is kind of, or letting, if he's home, being able to be like, hey, I gotta go for a minute. And I think that like learning that is helpful, but it's also like the hardest thing that I've done as a parent is having to learn from my mistakes.
Yeah. For me, the best part is since my son is 8 now, he's funny as heck. So I got really lucky with him. He doesn't give me a lot of grief. He doesn't really talk back too much. He's super witty and he's funny as hell. Like he's constant. I don't want to call it free entertainment because he's not free, but he's constant entertainment. That's the best part. He makes me laugh so much. And I'm just like, I created that? Like, I wasn't like that when I was little. So that's my best part. The worst part for me is pregnancy. I fucking hated pregnancy. Like, you have these moms who are like, oh, I just miss being in my little belly. And I'm like, fuck that. I hated it. I hated every single minute of it. I cannot wait for him to come out. He was 2 weeks overdue. So I was like,
Oh, that's rough.
I wouldn't wish pregnancy on anybody, but it happens to a lot of people. So, my best and worst.
I teased Holly. I said, you couldn't even hold it for 9 months. It was like, it's like
I had your devil children in me.
it's like, get it out!
I know, like on the pregnancy thing, like with Michaela or Brinley, like I would, like she's 4 now, and like I would kind of get sick, like brushing my teeth or whatever. But with Michaela, like I was sick the whole time, but I was too stubborn. Like I wasn't sick enough that I felt like I didn't need to go to my doctor for it. And I'd be like, I'd drop Brinley off at daycare, and I'd be driving to work, and like on the way there, like with like a sand bucket that Brinley had left in the car, just like puking my brains out while I'm driving, like cars next to me, and I'm just like, this is the grossest, worst thing. As like, I never want to do this again. So I made sure like we are not ever having any more children. Like adoption is wonderful because I don't even feel like I was sick as some people can be. Like I didn't need IVs, but it's just terrible. Like you guys are lucky. You just had to deal with our hormones. Like that is nothing compared to
Is
what
it
we had to
though?
deal with.
Is it though? Okay, I'm gonna leave that one there. We'll leave that one there.
Yeah.
I remember being so hormonal. Like, his dad accidentally spilt water on me in the car. And I remember, like, I was laughing so hard that it turned into sadness. I was so sad that I was laughing so hard and I couldn't stop laughing. So that made me sad. So I got really sad and I started crying. And then I was sad that I was sad. And then I just had, it was like this cycle of crying. And I was like, I don't know how to stop. Just like, don't look at me.
Yeah.
I don't know what
And you
to
can't
do.
stop it. It's
And then
just, you're on this train ride.
Yeah, you're just like, this is so hilarious. Why am I doing this? I'm embarrassed. Now I'm sad. Now it's hilarious. And it's just like, you cannot stop. And I'm just like, ugh.
I probably would
It
have
was
drove
so
off.
dumb.
I would 99% would have either drove off or left and left the keys.
He
there in the
kept
car.
asking if I was okay. And I'm like, I'm fine. Just ignore me. Like, I was like 20 minutes late to my appointment. We were on the way to a doctor's appointment. We were 20 minutes late. And I was like, please just don't even ask me why we were late. I don't know how to explain this. Like, yeah, hormones are a thing.
I fortunately had a very easy pregnancy relatively. I think the toughest part for me was being sleepy and maybe like a little bit of evening morning sickness in like the first few weeks, and that was it. The worst, well, I'll start with the worst part, I guess, about being a parent. Is definitely how much I end up relying on other people for childcare when I want to go be the person that I was before I became a parent. A lot of times I need help babysitting so I can go stream or I can go hang out with friends or just like do something that isn't being a mother all day long, because I am home with her all day. I work from home, but I'm also home with her all the time. So that gets, it gets straining. But then it's like, I need someone, like, I love her more than anything in the whole world, but please just take her for a little bit, please. And I feel bad, like, asking other people, because you get this judgment of, oh, well, you have a child. Why aren't you at home with your child? Or if I'm ever streaming without her, people are like, why aren't you at home? Why? Like, you're a mom. That's like, I didn't stop being a human being. I didn't stop being who I was just because I also became a mother. Like, I still have my hobbies, my interests. I need to recharge my batteries sometimes. Like, I think that's the hardest part, is trying to balance who I am with who I am without her versus also being a parent. That's the hardest. But my favorite part about becoming a parent is kind of like learning who she is as a person. She's like, I'm getting to know her and getting to know her personality. She's very sweet. She's very open to people. I'm learning that she's a little bit shy with strangers, but opens up really quickly. Like, I like getting to know this little person is that I brought into the world. And I think that's the most rewarding part, because the more I learn about her, like the happier I am with who she's becoming. So it's great.
No.
Nice. Yeah. We got 2 other questions in there, but they actually, I want to add them. Well, we kind of covered them last week. So if you do watch the VOD of last week, we did kind of talk over about parents and doxing and exposing your kids like to some of that stuff. Or it's a I don't know. That was from Royal Navy. We might cover some more of that in another episode. And then there was another one that I thought was just kind of hilarious, but we'll that's this one. Another quick question regarding my 1-year-old. How the F do I get her to sleep in her own freaking crib at night? I'm losing my damn mind.
We co-sleep. So
Co-sleep.
like
Uh-oh.
Well, if you were here for the first like hour and a half of stream, you would have heard our child screaming the entire time. So I don't know that we're the best parents for this.
So just stream.
Yeah, just stream to straight. But the thing is, like, when you have your first kid, I think we would have gone in there more often than not, a few times. And realistically, I think she's adjusting to being in, because we took her out of the crib, and so I think she knew she couldn't get out, but now she has like the freedom to get out of the bed. She can go in and do that. So Michaela's having a little bit trouble adjusting again to it. Other times she does it real easy, but I think you just gotta know that they're not harming themselves as long as it's a padded room and there's some water in there, but no,
right.
They're gonna cry. And I think if it's your first kid, it hurts a little bit more. It feels like it hurts a little bit more, but I feel bad for Michaela, because we're like, we'll let her cry for an hour. Like Brinley, she got like 10 minutes, and we're like, no.
I'm a monster. I let her cry, and I didn't feel bad.
Good for you.
I'm a total
I think,
monster.
Like, for the person who actually asked that, though, I think it's gonna be like being consistent. Like, if you go in, and that's why like I did let her cry longer, because last night I was in there like over and over every couple minutes, like, and then I would extend it and it'd be longer, and then she was up until 1:30 in the freaking morning, and like for literally no reason. Like, she had no sugar yesterday, she took a nap like earlier in the day, and like I don't know what happened. So tonight I'm like, we are gonna like, obviously that's not helping.
It's me.
So being consistent, and I went in there, so we let her cry it out. She would calm down, then she would cry again. So I went in there, and she immediately like went to sleep now. Like, so maybe it's taken 2 to 3 nights. Like tomorrow night might be rough too, but like hopefully she's learning that like we're not gonna just let her come out and play. And we don't keep anything in the rooms. We have the bed, and we have this tiny little like thing on the ground that they can keep books in, but like other than that, we don't have a dresser in there. We don't have anything, so I know that she's not going to get hurt unless she falls like a foot out of the bed. So I think that's peace of mind for us. Like, we don't even have a camera in there because, well, she'd find it and rip it off the wall or something, so, and just make faces in it or something. So so I think it's just
Or
consistency.
Brinley would just Fortnite dance and talk to it like, you guys like it? Sub to my channel. She's like that.
Yeah, for like, I think maybe the first 6 to 8 months, the only way she would sleep was on my wife. Like, so my wife literally slept sitting up holding the baby for like the first 6 months, because any other way, like the first 3 weeks I was up probably like, I slept like maybe an hour or two, because I let my wife rest, and it's like, all right, I got to do something. I have useless breast. I can't feed the baby. So it's like I got to do something. So I'd stay up with the baby all morning. Go get a bagel for both of us and stuff. And but yeah, that's the only way she slept, was sleeping on my wife. And then it kind of just transitioned. Like, she fell asleep on the bed. Let's not move her. And I say by month 8, she was sleeping through the night. And she wakes up like just gives a little whine, and then she goes right back to bed. But
that's good.
It's good, and it's even better that we have like a king size bed, so there's plenty of real estate for all of us. Yeah. Except I'm always like one leg off the bed, because my wife's always been a bed hog, and now the baby's learning from her.
Uh-oh.
And now I'm sleeping on the couch because my wife's in here. But yeah.
All right. That was a fun little episode. we'll clip it and ship it, boys
Yeah.
and girls and stuff. But that was super super fun. I really appreciate everyone coming in. One of the things, if I can kind of, we don't usually do. I don't know. I see everyone do shout outs on podcasts, and I like, I don't know. I still don't know how to end the stream. And so, so I've been streaming for so long, but yet I don't know how to end the stream. Bye. Yeah, everyone just turn off the cameras. But first of all, huge shout out and thank you to the guests tonight. We put their Twitch channels in the chat for you guys. Please follow each and every one of them. They are great streamers. They're great people. And hopefully we'll see them on some more parenting podcasts in the future. We're still working on a name for it. I think it's such a normie name. I don't like it, but I don't know. So far it's just parent podcast.
Well, thank you for the invitation. This was great.
Yeah, no
have
problem.
fun.
Sweet, yeah, friggin'
Bless you.
God bless you.
uh-oh. Bless you.
Bless you.
It's a baby. Yeah. So,
Say bye-bye.
can she do Fortnite dances? I'm not
No,
impressed.
not yet.
Nope, not impressed. No, I'm just kidding.
Can she see us?
All right.
Yeah, she's looking
Well,
at it.
we're gonna end the stream, guys. Make sure you guys follow everyone. Sub to their channels if you can. Follow their channels. It's free. Just do that. Follow their socials, and we will see you guys next. I don't know if I'll do it next week because I have a buddy in town, but we'll probably pick it up again in another 2 weeks. So lately, it's been every other week. I would like to get it on going to every week thing. If we have to, I may put together a cast and have one of the other people do it on theirs if they want, and put the team together and get it, because we have some of the other people that didn't make it tonight that would be happy to do it. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.